Hello, everyone, and welcome to Collin and Stephanie discuss Stephanie's dating life. No, it's Co-Creation Station, the podcast where we talk about the law of attraction, the art of allowing, spiritual magic, the mind-body-spirit connection, how to best enjoy this mystical, miraculous, mysterious, crazy, sometimes confounding, but always incredible journey we call life, and sometimes Stephanie's dating life. My name is Collin. I'm located in beautiful, sunny North Hollywood, California.
My name is Stephanie Orlina. I am a transformational life coach, and I help people shift away from negative thinking. And I am in San Diego, California. My co-host is a butthead right now. Not always, just right now.
It's good to let it go after the last episode. Okay. We want to thank you so much for listening or watching or both, however you're enjoying the podcast today. We do want to let you know we often mention the names Abraham Hicks and Esther Hicks, or sometimes we just say Abraham or Esther. If you're not familiar with those names, Esther is a speaker and author who channels Abraham. Abraham is described as a group of entities from beyond our physical world who share their wisdom by speaking through Esther at workshops and speaking opportunities around the world. You can search Esther Hicks or Abraham Hicks on your web browser or YouTube. You can also look them up on their website, abraham-hicks.com. Each week we start our discussion from a different jumping off point, and on the previous episode last week we got on to the topic of indicators and indicator experiences with regard to the law of attraction, so we decided we would talk about that. So Stephanie, tell me, what is an indicator? What does it mean? How does it happen? How do we find it?
It's a signpost, like when we're traveling on the freeway and then it'll say, San Diego and 52 miles. Or then you'll see another signpost, San Diego, 23 miles. And then you'll see another one, San Diego exit 23B or whatever, so you just keep getting these signposts, so the indicator would be something, for instance, I didn't know this was going to be an indicator, but when Nibbles, my grand dog, Nibbles, needed to be rehomed, I didn't know that was a signpost that I would be the rehome. I was so in denial. And then recently a group of women that I was in, it ended, and I think, and then the way I had discovered that team or that group of people, another event was occurring within a month's time. And so that was an indicator of like, oh, I'm supposed to go with start another group again. So there's these little just signposts, indicators along the way. I don't know that I'm gonna bring up my dating life again. So
please, the ratings go through the roof whenever you talk about
dating. Just that I've recently have attracted meeting certain people that are more of a vibration of what I'm wanting. So I've shifted my energy with that by reading my vision most every day. So there's just these little signposts I receive. I was thinking about, your D&D, your recent D&D experience, Collin. Was there a signpost with that? Can you think of you attracting a group that you're on that you love?
Oh yeah.
Were there signposts along the way with that one?
I forget.
Because you were having such contrast, and then all of a sudden you allowed it in. Oh, because you got together with your friends that night. So I remember you left us a Voxer, Kelly.
Oh yeah.
And you were just
say, I'm getting tangled up between indicator and breadcrumb because I feel like they're kind of related, and maybe they're the same thing. But I think
they are. They're just different terminologies. Okay. Signposts, indicators, and breadcrumbs.
Well, if all indicators are breadcrumbs, then that's awesome, and I need to think about my life that way. Because I've been delineating them, and I probably shouldn't. You're right. Because for me, an indicator is just it's not necessarily something for me to follow, but it is the universe kind of responding to my vibration, saying, you're getting closer.
Okay, very specific. Okay.
Breadcrumb to me is it's I'm attracting something, I'm allowing something in, and the universe is oh, contact this person, or I bump into somebody, or
Okay, yes.
or
So you're
something pops up in
accurate.
my. But
Breadcrumb
I don't
is
know.
different than
Maybe they're the same though.
indicator.
Like it's just,
Well,
well, what I'm thinking is though, like, because I think we might be onto something here, because like, if this isn't getting too complicated for everyone, because when I see the thing that I think of as only an indicator, like let's say I'm looking for a new job, and I find out that a friend of mine who's kind of in my circle all just got a new job, right? What I would think of, well, that's not a breadcrumb because that's not anything for me to follow. That's just the
right,
universe saying, oh, it's on its way. But if
right.
I think about it as a breadcrumb, like really understand, like, oh, I don't have to do anything with that, but that means I'm closer.
An indicator. Okay,
Like,
correct.
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
that is an indicating of like, oh, how close am I to allowing that new job out of my vortex and into my material reality? It's
Right.
like I think a lot of times, like I only think I'm getting closer if I get like a breadcrumb experience. Like somebody says, "Oh, call
Oh,
this person,"
okay.
and then because that's action, right? Like this is the thing.
Yeah.
Like I still struggle with that of like,
No, but those are good because
yeah,
like even with for me with the group that I was in previously, um, I had never heard of a Prospera team before. And then last November, twice I heard of them in 1 week. And I'm like, what is this? And then this woman's like, oh, it sounds like your higher power is talking to you. And so it was for me, that was a breadcrumb, like a next indicated thing.
yeah,
Um, so they are different, but the indicators and the signposts are like something occurs that says, oh, you're getting warmer, you're getting warmer. Like,
yeah,
it's an affirmation, I guess, an indication that I'm on the right track.
yeah.
Just keep flowing with that energy.
But I think what that evokes for me is like how much more comfortable I am if I have something to do, even if I
Mm.
don't exactly know why, or what it's going to directly lead to. Sometimes an indicator experience is really telling me like what you're doing right now is fine and it's enough. You're on your way. You're getting closer.
Yeah,
But for
yeah.
me, I would really prefer a lot of times like, oh, give me something to do. Like, I want
You want some
to do something.
breadcrumbs?
I want to do something. Uh,
So,
but the
okay.
funny thing is, because the experience, to back up a little bit, the experience you're talking about was, I'm in a Saturday group that plays D&D, and we play every. Our goal is to play every Saturday, but we have there's I think 8 people, including the dungeon master, and so people get sick, people have people are grown ups and have kids and things like that. So it ends up that it gets canceled like about once a month, I would say, and I look forward to it every week. Because I dungeon master a game on Tuesday night, and I love that 100%. But it's a very different experience. I get to relax a little bit more and just enjoy it a little bit more because I have less to do when I play. So the Saturday game had gotten canceled a couple of times over the course of 2 months, and I was getting really frustrated because I had looked both of those 2 weeks, even though they were 4 weeks apart or whatever. I had been looking forward to playing all week, and then like it got canceled right at the last minute, Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, and so I was super frustrated. And I remember just being in resistance, like this, like
Heavy duty resistance.
yeah.
Heavy duty
And I was
resistance.
like, I was messaging one of the other players, and I'm like, I think I might just have to drop out because I can't take this game that like doesn't happen every week. Like I need this game, and if it doesn't happen, And so, but two of my friends that are in that D&D group, they just got a new house, and so they invited me over to the new house. And their new house is like a mansion. It's literally a mansion. They live in a mansion, and I mean, it was wacky. Like I'm super happy for them, but they live in a mansion now, and so like they're showing me all the different there's like so many rooms in this house, and they're all like gigantic. It's just like I don't know. If you live where I live in LA, like the apartments tend to be, compact compared to the rest of the United States. And this was the opposite of that. It was just like every room was like gigantic, had high ceilings and built-in bookshelves that went like
Oh,
12 feet up
nice.
to the ceiling and all this stuff.
Wow.
It has a full swimming pool, a full backyard. Like there's a gigantic tree that has perfect amount of shade over the area right next to the pool. It's like crazy. It was crazy. And
Beautiful. Very abundant.
yeah, and there, and my friend Sue's, her father, who lives in Arizona, was there because he was helping them move in. And so we just had dinner together in the dining room in their new house, and like we were just like laughing and joking around. And I never met her father, and we got along great, and we were just like laughing about stuff. Anyway, and
so you went from that afternoon having a ton of contrast because your D&D game had been canceled again, and you're leaving Kelly and I boxers, and it's like
That's a really good description overall.
Yeah, and then you proceed to go and have this really wonderful evening with
people. I had no idea. One thing I just don't want to miss is like, I knew that Suze and Nate had gotten a new house, but I had no idea. I've never been to their previous house. We've had dinner at a restaurant before, but
so you hadn't been to their old place. Okay.
I hadn't been to their old place. I had no idea they were going to invite me over. Also they just moved, so I figured it wasn't even in my consciousness of like going over there.
Yeah.
And I got the text from Suze, and she's like, "Why don't you come over and have dinner?" And I was just like, "Okay." Like,
yeah.
I was planning on being frustrated all afternoon.
Yeah. Which was cool, because then the universe handed you this experience of being with your friends who you would have been playing with had the game not been canceled. So you got a little tiny piece, and which is really like what you want, is to like connect with people, be in their physical presence and stuff. Exactly. So it was just going to be a very different experience, but something you want and like as well.
Exactly. Yeah. And then I remember I came back to my apartment after dinner and hanging out with them for a little while.
So you were laughing, connecting, having a good time, in abundance, in like such prosperity and abundance. You had
such a good mood. Like it was just a total reversal. And then I went on the website, the Start Playing, which is the website where you can go on and find D&D games with other people to play. It's how I found that Saturday group that I was in. And there was because when I got back, it was like 8:00 at night. And when I went on the website, I found, but this is another thing. I think it was a breadcrumb / indicator. Like, there was this D&D game, and it was starting at, it was a group of 7 players, and they just lost somebody. So they were looking for somebody to fill it, but there was no commitment to do it every week. You could just go and see if you fit in or whatever. But it was starting at 1 a.m. LA time because the Dungeon Master was in Scotland.
That's willing. That is some willing.
I thought all the players were in Europe, but it turns out that there are 3 American insomniacs on the team. but 3 of the players and the Dungeon Master are all in Europe, so they're on. It's like 8 a.m. Sunday morning for them. And there was a voice in my head that was not a true voice. Actually, I feel like it was just my resistance still. It's like, well, don't sign up for a game that's at 1 a.m. on Saturday. Like, what if you like it, and there was something about it. Like, I read the description of what the Dungeon Master had written about the game, and I was like, that sounds like a fucking good, sorry, pardon my language. That sounds like a damn good game. Like, that Dungeon Master sounds like he's really creative, brilliant, knows what he's doing.
I always check the box that said explicit content, because I know at some point I have dropped the F-bomb or said some other foul language.
I feel like we do pretty well. Like, I feel like
but once in a while I will own it, and I'm just saying we're covered there. So go ahead.
But anyway, I got into this game that happens we start at 1 a.m. and we finish at 5 a.m. It's actually early Sunday morning, but Pacific time. There's 3 Americans and 4 Europeans. And 10 minutes in, I was like, oh crap, I'm gonna have to figure out a way to stay up every Sunday. It is so fun. Like, and I've been doing that, I don't know, for like 6 weeks now, and it's like,
has it been that long now?
It's been several, yeah, and like, it's just so fun. And we just, that group,
so this is a great example of being able to turn around our vibration, because what I kept hearing in your story, even though you had a ton of like contrast, negative emotion, really powerful and strong, you were open and willing.
Yeah.
Because when your friend invited you, you didn't shut it down. Like,
I didn't.
It was canceled.
I remember. I think that's one of the times where I do feel like, because you and I say a lot of times, we're still learning. We have this podcast.
Until I take my last breath, and then in my next life, I'll still be learning. Yeah, It's
But
eternal.
that was a point where I was like, because I remember feeling like frustrated and cranky, and I was like, it's like, it's so silly that we do this, but I was like, part of me was like looking forward to being cranky for the next few
Yes.
hours alone at
Yes.
my apartment.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And when I got the text from Suze about like, hey, why don't you come over to Suze and Nate's, new house and have dinner? I'm like, part of me was like, this is all in my mind, but I'm like, oh, like I might have fun and get in a good mood if I go over there. I don't know how to do that. But I know, but that's a place where like what I've learned about the art of allowing, what I've learned about the law of attraction, but from your coaching, from Abraham, from doing this podcast is that was a whether we want to call it an indicator or bright, it was like, go like that. You should do that. That will help shift your vibration.
That is an example of all the work, the inner work that you've done. That even though you have this voice, you're like, no, we're going to go.
And that's what I hope. I mean, that's what I hope some of our listeners, I love, and listeners and viewers, I really love that we have listeners and viewers that basically tell us that they listen every week. Not because for my ego, they're like, oh, I have some people listening to me every week, but just like, that's what I want to give to other people is like, just having this stuff play over and over in your head at least once a week so that you have those experiences of like, because I had to, that's the other thing is like, you could tell that story about me getting the text from Suze as like, oh, that was some random thing that came from out of nowhere. The reality is my vibration had to be somewhat, it wasn't 100% negative. It had to be somewhat positive.
And this is what I wanted to say. 51%. All we need to be is 51% in a better feeling mood to draw that from negative to positive. And then the universe, we were talking about in last week's episode, we have all of this non-physical energy that's out there helping us. Yeah. So this wasn't just you had a ton of support guiding you, pushing you, moving you towards what you really wanted, which was connection and fun.
Yeah.
And so you got it in a whole different way. And yes, of course, there's a part of us that's like, no, I don't want to because I didn't get what I had. I wanted that. But you didn't. You were like, yeah, I'm thinking that way. I'm just going to be grouchy, but no, okay, I'm going to go over here and do that. And so it's not about being like super happy all the time, because I get moments of that, but they're fleeting. It's like 15 minutes, maybe an hour, sometimes half a day now, because I've done this for a while. But then there's other times where I'm like, my shoulders are up to my ears and I'm like trying to control stuff and I'm in fear and blah, blah, blah. But man, when I'm in my car and I'm jamming the music and I think life is the best and Nibbles is next to me and he's smiling and we're just like on a happy voyage to wherever, those times are fucking beautiful, absolutely beautiful. But I don't live in that state 24/7. We're not supposed to. Contrast is all a part of the experience.
The other thing, this may be a little bit off the main topic for today, but I want to mention it because it's such a clear example of that. If 12 hours before I started playing my first session, that 1 a.m. Sunday morning group, 12 hours before that, if you'd come to me, and you say, hey, Collin, I'm temporally imbued with higher power, awareness, and knowledge. I know all, I see all. And the way to get to what you want, which is adding another D&D game to your schedule that you'll have more fun and play, is to find a D&D game online that starts at 1 a.m. on Sundays and is with another player who's in Montana, another one's in Florida, another one's in Scotland, another one's in Portugal, another one's in Germany, another one's in Denmark. And stay up between 1 and 5 a.m. That's the key to your happiness. I'd be like, get the fuck out of here. Like, what are you doing? I'm not going to do that. That sounds terrible, And it's just like, it works best for me when I let go of what does it have to specifically look like, and that doesn't mean that, like, this is one thing I think The Secret the film The Secret does demonstrate really well. It's like,
oh my God, you're going to say something positive about that movie?
I always do. I always
You're so often throwing it under the bus.
I do. I throw that film under the bus a lot. Well, only because I think when I watch that film, I now see that I missed. There's things that it's not that they don't go over it; it's that they kind of breeze through it from my perspective. And for me, like I had so much learned beliefs of negativity and deprivation and lack and scarcity and all that. Like I didn't understand some of the things that are like kind of that they do mention,
Foundational.
but that for me I needed more emphasis. Like
Right.
listening to Abraham's workshops on YouTube, like I started to get, like, oh, okay, that's
That was the game changer for me as well. Like the movie opened up my mind and to it,
yeah.
but it was really listening to Abraham's material that just blew
But I don't,
open.
yeah, but all apologies to Rhonda Byrne and her crew. She made an amazing film, and I wouldn't be here if it weren't for that. So no,
Me
but
too.
no, but one thing I do feel like that film does really, really well is it's left my brain because we talked about other things for too long.
I apologize. It will come back to you.
I'm surprised how rarely that happens on this podcast.
It's pretty impressive.
In my normal life, it happens like I'm breathing. Yeah, they do it really well in The Secret, talking about, it's gone. It's completely gone.
Something that, if somebody would have came to you and said,
well, Mike Dooley in there talks about this briefly in The Secret, and then I've watched a video of him talking where he gets more into it, which is, it's good when you're visualizing what you want. Like if you're in a good vibration, you're visualizing whatever, the car you'd like to have, the home you'd like to have, the partner you'd like to have, the job you'd like to have, whatever. When you're visualizing, it's really good to be highly specific, because the human brain is really good at that, and it likes that, so it's like, if you want a new car,
if you can be,
if you
some
can,
people can't,
it's not required,
so it's not required. Yeah,
but if you can, like, your Lexus, your white Lexus that you're attracting in, like, if you know it that specifically, like, the year, the model, the color, what it, like, their encouragement in that film is to, like, get in a chair in your house, close your eyes, imagine yourself like feeling the seat of the car, put your hands up in the air, clench them like you clench the steering, not just any steering wheel, but the steering wheel of what that car would feel like. In the visualization process, specifics are great because the human mind really loves to do that. And if you can feel like I'm in this car, I'm visualizing it really strongly, that can create a really strong positive vibration in your body and in your system that goes along with the thought of what you're wanting to bring in. So that can be really good. But what they, and Mike Dooley especially, says is, but then let go of all the specifics about how it comes to you and what actual physical form it comes to you in. Because what's very easy to do, like with your Lexus, is like, and I mean, this sounds reasonable, but like, okay, I want, the white Lexus that Stephanie
2012 LS 460.
I should know that.
Silver polish trimmed.
I should know all of that by now. I know.
One owner. Mint
but like,
condition.
you could approach that, and most people would be like, yeah, it's like, okay, well, it's going to cost X number of dollars, like whatever the Blue Book value is, plus $500, blah, blah, blah. And then I have to save up for that exact amount. And so I'm going to save up, X number a month, and then I will get the car, and da 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 da. And like, that's the only way that car could ever come to me. And the reality is the universe could bring that car to you in like a million different ways. Like somebody
and I even just like think of it, like I can think of one or two ways, but I love it, what Abraham says, there's at least 20 different ways that things can come to you.
Yeah.
So if I can only think of two, like my human mind can only think of two, and there's 18 other ways that I don't even think that's actually possible.
Yeah. But that's what this was all going back to that 1 a.m. D&D game. It's like, if you told me 12 hours early, I would have been like, that's not going to work for me. Like, I need to sleep on the weekends at normal times, and blah, 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 blah. And I'm also not advocating people staying awake from 1 to 5 a.m. regularly. But the thing is, like, it just, like, what I wanted was a D&D game that was enjoyable, where the dungeon master was really creative and had built an immersive world and really cool people and a lot of laughter, a lot of fun.
Yeah, but did you even think like that was even possible? Let's even forget about.
No, I was actually, that's the bizarre thing, is like,
and
I was really in this zone thinking the kind of thoughts that we would tell people not to think on the show. Like, why is it so damn hard? Like,
but
why?
Let's be real here. Oh, I don't think it's possible. That can't happen because I'm living.
It's amazing to me. And again, I always see things in other people more easily, like than I do in myself, and I try to talk as much as I can on here about myself, but sometimes I'm like, people do this, but I see it all the time. Oh my God, people will talk to me all day about how they can't get things or do things. And they'll have all these reasons, and I'm just sitting there like, oh my God, that's such your
but let's
brain
talk
doing
about
it.
you. Let's talk about me, because that's what, so it was so sweet. Thank you, Sarah. She left a comment a few weeks ago. I was like, and I see you, Steph, I see you in that car,
Yeah.
And I'm like,
yeah.
Thank you, Sarah. Yes. And so maybe prior to that, but I think that her commenting about that definitely cemented it for me. It was like, yeah, just see yourself in that car, Steph. And forget about the house, or I can't afford it, or it's not in my spending plan, blah, 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 blah. All those, like what we're talking about, the contrasting thoughts, like me just, but. So leave all the buts out. But I've actually sat in that car back in 2011. It was just coming out, the model. And I remember when, I think I said this in that episode, I sat in the seat and I remember viscerally having this feeling and thought was like, oh, I'm home. Like the seat was contoured to my body. I was like, yeah, I'm the owner of this car, kind of a feeling. And so that is the feeling, like when you were describing the car in the movie, I was like, I was with you on it. Cause I was like, yeah, that's all I need to do. That other stuff, the universe is going to figure it out. I have no idea. Just like I didn't know I was going to be living in Bay Park and being able to see the ocean when I sit at the dining table. I didn't know that I would be able, from my living room, to be able to watch all of San Diego SeaWorld fireworks from the bottom to the tops. I could see it in my last space outside of the deck in the backyard, like the large ones. And I'd often go out there and watch them. Like I obviously had in my vortex to be able to see the whole thing. Like so many things. I can see the ocean from my bathroom. Like it's so abundant where I'm living now.
It makes me think of that line from Colette Baron Reed, who's the person who she does a lot of things, but she's also designed a lot of the oracle card decks that I use as an oracle card reader. And she, in one of her books, she says,
I love her works.
Like 99% of what's going on is unseen. It's all behind the curtain of the material world we see. Like this, creative ideas flowing into the world, money flowing into people's lives, romantic partners flowing into people's lives. That's all happening behind the scene. What we observe is like, oh, I'm on the first date and it went really well. They're finally here, but like we don't see the, all the
them coming, like
well,
and
meeting.
Okay, then us meeting, whatever. Men and women's minds think differently, and some men's minds think differently than other men's minds. Anyways, that being said, as Abraham says, 99.99% of everything you want is complete. So I've been wanting to say this here. 0.01% is the allowing part. Like 99.99%, it's complete. So all I needed, so that is like the relaxing, the expecting, the trusting, believing, or that's the go and just pet your cat, or go sit under a tree and read a book, whatever you like to do, go do that.
Yeah.
There's someone you would really enjoy spending time with them, go do that. I have to say, I haven't done this in a while. I laughed so much this week watching reels on Instagram. There were 2, and I love that they just repeat. If you just leave it on, it just oh my God, I was just the thought of them now. I was driving my car yesterday thinking about it, and I just started laughing so hard. So whatever it may be, laughing is one of my favorite things to do, besides spending time with my co-host when he isn't being a butthead. Oh, and I'm actually going to physically get to be in your presence.
Yes.
In September, the beginning of September, which is both of our birthday months.
Yes.
Holla.
And we're doing the live stream of this podcast. We haven't really talked about that.
We haven't. We haven't really figured out how to do that when we're in each other's presence of like.
Yeah.
Anyway.
We should though, because I probably will be in San Diego that Sunday, so we probably will have to figure that out.
Okay. That's right.
Before we go, this has been a great discussion. Before we go, I did want to give a massive shout out to my friend Angelica Sepulveda, who has been a guest on this podcast before. She is a regular listener / viewer of the podcast, and we thank her for her support. Also, she is an amazing massage therapist. She does live here in Los Angeles and work in Los Angeles. So, for those of you who don't live in the LA area, you will have to drive or fly here if you'd like to take advantage of her services. But I scheduled an appointment with her recently. Her business name for her massage work is Indigo Body Balance. And you can search indigobodybalance.com, all just no spaces or underscores there. That's her website. You can also visit her on Instagram at indigo_body_balance. You can find her on both places. You can message her on both places, schedule an appointment. She's currently working out of a really beautiful studio that has like hair, and they do hair and self-care and massage. It's called the Harper Salon it's at 8259 Melrose. It's a beautiful location and one of my favorite parts of LA, actually. But I just want to give a huge amount of gratitude and appreciation to Angelica, because I booked the appointment with her. I fully expected to pay her rate because she's worth it and a lot more. And she told me afterwards that she was gifting the massage to me as a thank you for appearing on the podcast in a previous episode. So I wanted to thank her for that, and she really is incredible. I'm not just plugging this because she's my friend.
Well, no, because I remember when we had her on, when we were doing guest appearances at the very first second in season 1 and 2, and she was I loved meeting her, and I look forward to having a massage with her at some point.
Yeah, she's very spiritually minded.
Incredible soul.
You know, what I always say about when I get done having a massage from her is like, I feel like she really helps align my vibration in a way physically that I don't feel in any other. Nothing against any other massage therapists. There's a lot of great ones in the world. But I mean, I really feel like when I leave there, I'm like in a great, I'm just like, probably like stuff flows out of my vortex right after that, because I just, there's a way to feel good emotionally, but it's like when you feel good emotionally and you feel good physically, like you feel relaxed but empowered and all that. It's just amazing.
It's the best.
So I can't recommend her highly enough. Angelica Sepulveda, Indigo Body Balance. If you're anywhere near the LA area or will be visiting, please look her up and book a massage, because she's incredible. And thank you so much for the gift. I really appreciate it personally. All right. Well, that's all the time we have, and I've closed my little Word document with the script, and I've forgotten what I usually say at the end. I guess I say thank you for listening and or watching.
And you can comment down in the little doodly-doo.
In the doodly-doo, yes. At this time, we are posting a brand new episode for you every Monday morning. So watch for that, and we appreciate everything you do to support the podcast. Huge shout out to Jacqueline and Sarah and Kelly for your awesome comments and likes and all that.
We love hearing from all of you, so thank you so much for commenting. We love to hear specifically like what you think and feel and experiences that you've had, and so thank you.
And we appreciate you so much, and we wish you a happy and abundant week ahead, and we look forward to you joining us next time on next week's episode of Collin and Stephanie discuss Stephanie's dating life.
Bye, y'all.
Have a great week, everybody.